Good morning, if you're listening to this in the morning. We are in for a treat of an episode. I appreciate you tuning in, of course. Before we start, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If you have not left a 5-star review, same sort of ordeal. If you have not shared the podcast with anybody, please do so. That's how we grow, and that's the goal, is to grow. If you have been provided any level of value, share the value with others. And that's really what I'm trying to do here at Trainer's Wisdom. When we look at certain philosophies or sayings that I draw from, that tends to become an episode. And today, there's kind of two. There's a future version of yourself begging for you to start right now. Think about that. A future version of yourself begging for you to start right now in regards to your health, fitness, and wellness goals. There's also another saying, which I thought tied into this really well, and I've done a topic on it before, but hell is when you see the version of yourself who you could have become. And so that weighs deep on me a lot. It can keep me up at night at times, thinking I'm not doing enough to get to the potential I need to be. You're never going to get to that point. That's the irony, but you want to get as close as you can. So imagine you're on your deathbed and you pass away. But then you open up your eyes and you're young again. And, well, youngish. And you walk into a room and you shake hands with someone who looks similar to you, but they look sharper, stronger, more grounded, and more at peace. And that's the version of yourself who you could have become, but because of your current choices and current trajectory, that did not become you. And you had a different timeline, a different life. Again, hell is meeting the person who you could have become. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people are tormented by with their daily choices is, I had so much potential and I wasted it. And I think a lot of people, older people, their regrets in life is what they could have done or should have done and that they didn't do enough of. Not necessarily the amount of hours that they worked or how much money they made or the expensive vacations they went on. It was the people who they wish they spent more time with and the type of person they probably wish they became or did. You are making choices right now. You make choices every day. You make multiple, so many choices, and it dictates whether you become that said person or not. Every choice you make dictates the type of person who you will be in the future. And that is going to be today's show. We're going to break down why your future self is begging you to get started and how do you answer that call. You're going to be so thankful that you started earlier. I get this a lot from clients of, hey, like now that I'm working out regularly, I'm starting to notice how much better I feel. I just wish I had done it earlier. I wish I had done it in my 20s or in my 30s. Some clients don't start to take care of their health until their 50s and 60s. I got one guy, he's early 60s. He's had a stroke multiple times. He was very overweight when we first started. He still has a ways to go, but he's lost like somewhere between 50 to 80 pounds of body fat. He's gained some muscle too along the way, so it's hard to say an exact number. But he half an hour once a week is what he was doing with me for the last like year and a half before we started with an hour a week. And then he couldn't afford me, so we dropped down to half an hour. He just never gave up. And then recently he's like, I kind of want to go to 2 or 3 half hours a week now. I'm like, oh, that came out of nowhere. Yeah, I feel like my legs are getting so heavy. He doesn't necessarily have a lot of time left because he's not necessarily in the best of health, and his health problems have gotten relatively bad. And, early 60s might seem young to some people, but for other people, they don't have a ton of time left. And I think he's like, okay, like it's do or die, literally, at this point where it's like, okay, I gotta actually lock in and do a little bit more. And, I feel for a lot of those types of clients. I have a lot of them. And if he had started earlier and focused on it way earlier, it would have been a very different 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s that he would have experienced, right? And those are just the choices. He's doing what he can now in the position he's in. And a lot of people have a sunken fallacy principle where it's like, well, it's too late, or it's too gone, or I've just always been like this. It is never too late to improve your health. Even on your deathbed, if you had weeks to live, there are going to be mindset exercises and things you can do to make the most out of the last couple weeks. Surrounding yourself with family and friends would give you peace. That's what you could do. You could do breath work. You could eat foods that just make you feel good or comforting. And maybe it's sunshine, fresh air, and a little bit of walking. That doesn't mean that it's too late. It's just, it is what it is. So time passes whether we act or we don't. And there's already a future version of yourself. If you believe in timelines or destiny or fate, or maybe multiple universes potentials, like Schrodinger's box, the cat exists until you open the box. Until you go down that path, both can be true. And there is going to be a future version of yourself that exists in multiple different possibilities. The answer is, what are you going to do today to get to that point? And the future you is looking back at you, right? And they're screaming, hey, put down the phone, turn off the TV, go out for a walk, go make some healthy food, go to the gym, hire Nick Fody. Maybe not that. I mean, you can, but like maybe not that. But hey, I wish you had listened to Trainer Wisdom's advice so much more. We need to stop making excuses for what we haven't done and focus on what we can do. The cost of zero. Sometimes we think doing nothing is safe. It's like, well, I can't afford to start right now. Inaction has just as much of a compounding interest. Because if you wait 5 years to get in shape, that's 5 years that you could have done. You've lost 5 years of potential. When you're in your 20s and you trade time for money, you're going to need that time back at some point in your life. So your time's actually worth a lot more than you realize, because you're never going to be 20 again. At some point, you're going to be 30. And life will be different and it will have changed. And if you have done nothing and you've just wasted your 20s, time has gone by, you don't have as much time to waste anymore. And somebody who spent their 20s eating right, exercising, sleeping, having a purpose-filled, clean, driven life, they're going to be 10 years ahead of you. Now you spend your 30s doing that, but now you've caught up, but you're 40. And they've spent their 30s maybe building a family or building a career, or building a business. And so wasting a day not only sets you back a day, but now you have to play a day catch up. It's kind of like going in the wrong direction. In a sense, if you're driving or walking, you not only are going further from the target, but then it takes you longer to come. And we can sabotage our own progress because A, we either think we know what we're doing, but we don't. Some people are driven to get in shape and fit and healthy, but maybe they're taking not the right approach. They're driving in the general direction, but it's like, dude, there's a highway you could take and you'll get there much quicker and it's direct. Why are you taking all these back roads? It could be something like that. Why are you taking shortcuts that are resulting in detours and stop traffic? There's no shortcut. And we sabotage it in that way. We sabotage it in, well, I know that this is what's best for me, but I want to do this instead. Or, I mean, I tend to do it at times too, like, what's the point? I've already eaten kind of bad today. I'll just restart my good eating tomorrow. And we do all of those things to ourselves. So it's not about necessarily being perfect from the get-go, but it's about stop waiting around and start building towards your goals. We avoid starting, again, self-sabotage, but sometimes it's self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Tongue twister. Where, well, I don't have enough time. If you believe that, that's true. Or I don't have enough money. Well, it's technically free. This podcast is free, and there's a lot of free stuff you can do, and I put a lot of free stuff out there. So you do have money, and I've put out guides that are free to tell you how to be most efficient and effective. And the time thing is always going to be bullshit, because you're going to get more productive back. You're going to get more health span back. You're going to get more lifespan back. You're going to have better energy, better moods. So like you will get the time back in so many in direct and indirect ways. You'll get money back. There's a deadlift ETF that's unofficial. CEOs who work out deadlift ETF, it's like twice performing the S&P 500. So it's like you will get the money back. Most people who work out are probably actually pretty successful in generally speaking. Most people think of like dead end bodybuilder who's not really making much money. That's to the extreme, but most people who take their health seriously are also probably taking other things seriously. Or it needs to be the right timing. There's never a right time ever to start anything. But the right time is right now. Actually, the best time to plant a tree, did you know, is 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. Again, another saying that bodes true. I think that it's a lot of people are fearful that they're going to fail. And so you can't fail if you don't start. And so you self-sabotage by telling yourself these things that are just not true. And maybe it's an identity crisis. I talked about that a little bit before, but you identify with yourself as somebody who is just too busy to work out, or just doesn't have the money, time, or it's just not that important right now. But if you start to identify as somebody who treats yourself the type of way that you should be treated, treating yourself not just as some random person, but someone you truly love. And that means taking them for a walk and eating good. Think about a dog. Oh, the dog's starting to put on a little weight. You know what? Maybe we need to cut back their food and take them for a walk. You start to put on weight. Oh, you know what? Maybe my metabolism should slow down. What? And then we even think about like there's dog food and people food, and it's like, oh, you can't give the dog people food. It's unhealthy for them. Well, do you think it's healthy for you? And so we need to change that identity of somebody who you're worth taking care of. And a lot of people take care of their pets better than they do themselves. They take care of their children better than they do themselves. But you'll take better care of your children and your pets if you take better care of yourself. And you trap yourself in that identity of somebody who can't afford it, doesn't have the time, doesn't know where to start. And so there's now this friction. You know where to start. You can start with walking. You can start by just admitting that you need help and then hiring a trainer. Yeah, it's going to cost you money. What's the point of having money if you don't spend it on things that you get more value out of it? And I can tell you as a trainer, the reason I have an extremely high retention rate is people find value. I'm not cheap. I'm not expensive. There are trainers that are way more expensive. There are trainers that are way more cheap. I'm not the best trainer, but I try to provide high level amount of value. And if you're unsatisfied, that's my fault. It's my name. It's my reputation. I'm going to do the best job I can to help you. All right. So the body has a feedback loop, right? When it comes to fitness, you either do it or you don't. When you really think about it, you can't negotiate with a barbell. You either lift it or you don't. And fitness gives us immediate, undeniable feedback on our effort. And you're going to get that feedback from your body right away. When you accomplish a workout, you're going to feel so much better that it's going to bleed into, well, you know what, this kind of feels good. I feel like I haven't moved much today. Maybe I need to move a little bit more. Day after day, week after week, you're going to start to crave that you want to move more. And you either do it or you don't. And when clients have been off for a week or two, I'm kind of getting a little antsy. I'm really looking forward to getting back into my workout routine. Sometimes I have clients that's like, they're on scheduled at 6 p.m. They're done work at 5. It's online. And he shoots me a message, hey, I'm ready to go if you are. I kind of want to get my movement in. And we start at 5. And we have a great workout. And it's just funny how that kind of works. You're not going to see results right away, You will see strength go up after a little bit. The muscle's going to lag, but once you start to get a taste for that, you're going to fall in love with that. Then what's interesting is when you're working out and you get what's called a pump, you kind of see what a future version of yourself would look like temporarily, because the muscles get a little inflated and you're like, oh, like, you know, pecs are looking good, biceps are looking good, and it gives you a little bit of motivation, like, oh, like, you know, if I keep it up in about a year, this is what I'm going to look like. Yeah, it will take a while. It takes a long time. And then in a year, that's what your normal is. And then you get the pump from there. And then it just keeps going up and up, that your pump is always like the next future version of what you could look like. And I think that's kind of cool as well. That gives you that feedback. Yeah, and I find that an interesting sort of takeaway when it's like, okay, this is the potential version of you. And I've made mistakes. You know, I think about how athletic I could have been if I didn't have a knee or hip injury, or, you know, I wasted a little bit of time in my, I would say 20s, marijuana. Not that it was like crazy, but like I look back, I'm like, yeah, like I was still working out really good, and it was just that little thing. It's like, yeah, my lungs would probably be better. Not that they're bad, but I'm never going to be at my potential because I did some self-destructive things. Even alcohol, it's like, I've really cut back a lot, and it's like, not that I was a heavy drinker, but it does have a big factor. I'm like, yeah, that would be an aspect of it too. Now going into my 30s, I'm really conscious of, okay, I don't want to waste as much potential. Yeah, I'm still gonna have my moments where those things come back in, but it's been 3.5 months of no marijuana, great, and very, very minimal alcohol. I know there's going to be a cottage weekend that might be a little bit different, and that's okay in that moment, but it is one of those things where I do think about my potential and on what I could have missed out. Even financially, there's an aspect of that too. Like, fuck, I wasted so much money eating out. And like fast food's another good example. It's like a little bit of waste of money, and yeah, maybe it wasn't the healthiest choice. And that also affects my potential. So there's a reality check, right? You probably have outgrown jobs in the past. Or if you outgrown yourself, the current version of yourself, are you ready to outgrow it and get to the next level? You promised yourself that you would start eating right on Monday. That was 12 Mondays ago. That was 50 Mondays ago. 12 weeks, a year, whatever it ends up being. Are you ready to start now? When in life are you ready to actually start getting to your potential? Here's another question. If you repeat the same actions from the last 30 days for the next 5 years, do you think that you will be in a spot you enjoy or a spot you don't enjoy? I will ask you that. What are the actions you've been like in the last 30 years that's going to predict your next 5 years? If you don't like the answer to that, you need to change your next 30 days. Does it excite you? Because for me, that's actually pretty good. For other people, it might frighten them. Like, oh, fuck yeah, you know what? I do need to get my shit together. So here's some steps. Write down what you plan to do over the next 30 days. Do it to the best of your ability. Reframe, rethink, and go again. Stop planning for a year from now. Think about what you can do in the next 24 hours, the next week, the next 4 weeks, and make ridiculously small micro steps and execute it. Remove options and just lay out your workout clothes. Lay out your workout for the week. Take off distracting apps on your phone. Make the right choice easier and track your wins. I would love to hear back from you in 30 days if you did follow that advice. If you are wanting help with an audit, a little check-in call, this podcast's not big enough yet, but we're going to get it bigger. You can shoot me a message and I'll probably come back to you. You can find me on Instagram at thicknick1, THICCNIC1. THICCNIC1. Yeah. And you probably follow me anyway. Please share. Please subscribe. Please show your family and friends that you're starting to take care of your health and you want them to take care of their health as well. Until next time.